Jason, I'm starting to think that sleep is actually important to human beings.
Yeah.
I haven't been sleeping at all for the last 3 years, and I think it might be starting to catch up with me.
Causes brain damage and weight gain.
Does it?
And those are just two of the horrible effects that sleep deprivation can cause to the human body.
But I heard that it gives you sweet-ass hallucinations.
Well, that
was what Tim Robbins was on in Jacob's Ladder, right? He didn't sleep, and then...
That doesn't kick in until, day 4 of no sleep.
Actually, what I'd be really interested in is I have heard... And by the way, welcome everybody to the Rage Select Podcast. I'm really tired, so fucking... I've heard that when you stay awake for long enough that your body starts making you take micro naps. You just start blacking out for 30 seconds because your brain is like, fuck you, you're sleeping.
Yep. And you can eventually die.
Well,
come on, hasn't Korean gamers taught you anything?
Well, but I don't really do that. I don't know. See, it's weird because I used to sleep like a goddamn baby, Jason.
Yep.
And when I had a job where somebody else was telling me what to do all day, I'd be like, not my problem. I'm just going to fucking put on some music and go to sleep. And now, it just sucks. But that's really boring. Tell me something interesting that happened to you in the last week.
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
No, the last week, since we recorded last, no.
No?
No, I don't. Oh, you know what?
What's that?
I'm going to tell you the story I told yesterday.
Okay.
That I told you yesterday. I was playing Battlefield 4.
Uh-huh.
Did I tell you about that?
I don't think you did. There
Christ almighty.
Okay.
So I saw, and we're going to talk about this, saw the trailer for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Right.
And I was like, I'm gonna play a shooter. Oh, you know what? I never finished the single player to Battlefield 4.
Okay.
So I'm going to... Yeah. So it's like, I'm gonna jump on that and just shoot a little bit. Just
you don't listen.
I know.
I told you how many times.
Oh no, it's worse.
Right. Oh, okay.
It's worse.
Okay.
So I was like, and I jumped on and loaded it up, but there were some updates and everything, and I played for a little bit, and then I came back to it later that day. It's like, your save game's been corrupted. You got to start over. It's like, damn it. So I started over, and I played right up to where I had gotten, again, maybe 2 or 3 hours in.
Yeah.
And then the next day I came back, booted it up. Your save game's corrupted. You got to start over.
Right.
It's like, no.
And I'm surprised there wasn't a Twitter picture of you at that point with your middle finger pointed at the TV.
It's like, you are dead to me.
The fact that EA is like, this campaign's really shitty, but if we corrupt their save file, they'll have to play it 6 times.
Right.
They'll get Stockholm Syndrome with the campaign for Call of Duty Battlefield, or not Call of Duty, Battlefield 4. Well, where did you get to?
I kept getting to the point where, spoilers, of course.
Yeah.
Kovic dies and gives you the hard drive.
Okay.
After the attack on the aircraft carriers.
Yeah. Did you find it? Because when I played it, the thing that I felt that was most strange to me about it was the way that they painted your character as such an integral part of this conflict. Yet you have no dialogue.
Oh yeah.
You have no. They don't even really assign a gender or a race or anything to your character.
And
just a blank slate.
You are the squad leader.
Yeah.
And yet you don't say anything.
Right.
And most of the time your guys are all, Wrecker, do this.
Right.
Wrecker, do that.
Yeah.
Wrecker, get over here.
The dude, who's the guy from The Wire?
Yeah, Irish. I can't remember the actor's name.
What is his name? I got to look him up. He is the main character, pretty much. He has that weird... he has that weird subplot with the girl that you come in contact with, or I don't know if you've gotten there yet.
Hannah.
Michael K. Williams, that's right. And it was I was amazed at just how they had fallen down on the job with the storytelling of this, when Call of Duty is pretty much giving you a Mad Lib that you could put together for easy modern action game that is at least, I mean, Modern Warfare, or everything after Modern Warfare 1, I guess, to me at least, is it's like candy, right? Tastes good while you're eating it, but when you're done, you're just like, I don't fucking care about that.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting around discussing the deep political implications of Call of Duty Ghosts with you every week.
I was having enough fun with Battlefield. It was cool. It's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. But it's no, I'm done.
Well, speaking of Michael K. Williams, I would talk to you about this yesterday, but we got we do a little bit of stuff before we get into the news here. I saw Robocop last week.
Oh, right.
And I thought it was decent. I thought the biggest problem with it was that it was named Robocop, you know?
Right.
Like, if it was, I mean, and it was weird because when that movie came out, you know, we know a bunch of movie people here in town who go to see it, so I was listening to reviews of people reviewing it, and everybody, there were a lot of people who were like, this is a fine movie, it's not really a good movie, it's not a good Robocop movie, it doesn't tap the same sorts of things that you had in the original Robocop. And when I heard these reviews, I was just like, you guys are full of shit. There's no way. I saw Total Recall. I know what Hollywood is doing to these things.
I didn't see Total Recall either.
Oh, my God. It was so terrible.
Really?
It was so bad. Like, they took the Mars out of it.
That doesn't make any sense.
So the plot that...
Well, I haven't read the original Philip K. Dick novel. Is Mars even in it?
No, I don't believe
they
so.
Can remember it for you wholesale?
Right. I don't think that Mars is in it, but I also think that... I don't know if we've ever said that. I don't know if I've ever said this out loud before, but I feel that Philip K. Dick stories are better when you adapt them into things that are written by other people, because I think that Philip K. Dick has wonderful ideas, and I think he's a terrible writer.
I don't think he's terrible. I just think he's bananas.
Yeah.
And it's clear that, oh, wow, this guy was insane.
Have you read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
I have. Yeah.
There's that whole part where he's like wandering around the wilderness like Kane from Kung Fu and shit with his like robot dog or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's just like, oh my God.
It's got some weird stuff in it, but there was some metaphorical stuff going on with that whole wilderness thing.
Yeah.
You know?
But
I think Philip K. Dick was here's me saying the bold statement, he was a genius.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah. He's
way to get outside of your comfort zone, Jason.
He's not real accessible.
Yeah. I think he's better as a short story writer when he has to get to the point.
Okay.
When he's got a few pages to just get to the motherfucking point instead of being able to ramble on. But it got me thinking when I watched RoboCop, and this is knowing the way that this show goes, I probably pulled up 4 emails that all ask this exact same question, but fuck it, we'll jump the gun. Is that I've seen remake movies where they just remake the original, right?
Right.
Just lock, stock, and wholesale.
Sure.
Like they do and everybody just goes in there like, well, fuck that. I've already seen that movie. Like, I'm just seeing another version of the exact same movie. But then I've also seen movies where they try to do their own thing, and everybody gets all pissy with them because it's like they can't win the remake game.
Right.
A lot of times, because if you just do the original story over again, then you're not creative, and if you change it in any way, then you fucked it all up.
Exactly.
So
they should remake all the bad movies. All the movies that should have been good but weren't.
Like, such as?
Like Ultraviolet.
Man, I wanted to like that movie so goddamn bad.
Like G.I. Joe.
I don't think Ultraviolet was a good movie.
Like Megaforce.
Megaforce?
Yeah.
I don't think Ultraviolet... I think if you just like look at the basic story structure of Ultraviolet, vampires in the future...
Yeah.
I don't.
It could work.
Oh, I guess
it could work.
I guess. What are some other really shitty movies they could remake that would be, or if they?
But they always remake the good movies.
What's a movie that was really bad, but if it had some oomph behind it, if it had some special effects or something, it would have been. You know who we need for this conversation?
Who?
Cargill.
Yeah.
I get Cargill and Brian Salisbury in here to tell me
Cargill would already
movies.
bitch at me about suggesting they remake Megaforce. That's like one of his favorite films.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of stuff from back in the old days that they could remake.
Phantom Menace.
I
liked it. I enjoyed it, but it's got a hell of a lot of problems.
Phantom Menace, in fact, all the Star Wars prequels, I think that if you strip like all the shit dialogue out of them and you look at like them from a distance, right, at what the story is, it's an interesting ass story, right? About especially when you get to episode 2 and it's like you see that Palpatine's been playing both sides of the equation, that he killed it's a Jedi, the Master. He's the guy that contracted the clone army. He's got a really cool name.
Cypher Dyas,
yeah. Or whatever.
Yeah, Cypher Dyas.
Okay. That he posed as him to create the clone army, but then he also had his apprentice go create the Separatists.
Yeah.
And he's just like masterminding this whole conflict. He's basically Kevin Spacey in House of Cards. Or
right?
Like this is a very Machiavellian plot. Unfortunately, they spend so much goddamn time with Hayden Christensen and his emo problems.
Yeah. I just wish we hadn't known that Senator Palpatine was the Emperor.
Right. Right.
You know? That would have been great.
Right.
But
Like,
I mean, when you Emperor Palpatine, Senator Palpatine. Okay. Same guy.
You know what? You know what they could have done is they could have been like they could have called him something else.
Yeah.
And then when he was all wheezing, he could have been, I've taken the name of a great ruler from our past, from Senator Palpatine of 200 years ago or whatever. Like they could have done that. And it maybe, I think that most of us that saw the original probably, well, I don't know. If you had seen Darth Sidious in there and then you'd seen the Senator Palpatine, but he'd been called Senator Frankenstein or whatever, I don't know. Do you think you would have made the connection in your brain that was probably going to be the Emperor?
Maybe.
They maybe needed to reel him back a little bit because he was always a little bit creepy and sinister.
They'd probably not have the same actor, Ian McDiarmid.
Yeah, man. There's such a potentially good movie in there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. I've rewritten the whole damn thing in my head. 100 times.
Should we film it? Should we go out in the parking lot one afternoon and
man?
I'll use After Effects.
That's the thing. It's like if you're going to get out there and you're going to make a movie or make a short film, don't do a fan film. That rarely gets you anywhere. Sometimes it does, but very rarely.
Troops?
And I don't think.
Well, I don't know if the guy that made Troops actually did anything.
I think he did.
Yeah,
but that was a parody.
Yeah,
and it was funny.
That shit was
but you
good.
See these, like. Here, I've spent like the last 5 years making this Jedi epic, and it's like great. Some people on YouTube might like it, and you're going to go back to your job, working at the fucking cell phone kiosk in the mall or something.
Okay, well, let's say that you were crazy enough to actually make your own Star Wars fan film, right? And we're gonna. You and I and everybody that we know, we're going to redo the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Who would you cast yourself as?
Cast myself as?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm
Mace Windu. You do it in blackface.
Yeah, in blackface.
Oh
yes.
God.
No, I don't. Yeah. If I were gonna play one of the characters in the prequel, I don't know. I don't know that I would put myself in it.
Okay. I just thought of a thing.
Maybe Jango Fett.
Maybe Django.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you think that?
I don't know. I'm not tough
would
enough
you do? What ethnicity is Jango Fett?
He's Kiwi.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not tough enough looking.
Okay. I just thought of something that I'd like to see spun off into a full length series. Have you ever seen the short?
He's Maori, so yeah.
On YouTube, Star Drunk.
No. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Where it's like just a bunch of dudes on a CGI battleship and they're all just completely fucking wasted.
Yes.
I would totally watch like a 20-minute weekly show like Star Trek style.
Absolutely.
That was just fucking human beings in space, but everybody's wasted
and
the entire
time.
time.
Just the people to make it.
We could just be the red shirts every week that just put us in different mustaches and like different wigs and shit like that. Oh man! All right, well, enough of this messing around. Let's get on to the news.
Charles St. Charles would be Qui-Gon Jinn.
Okay,
yeah,
is that what it is?
Just wanted to throw that out there.
Would he be hitting on the 17-year-old queen the entire time?
Yeah, he would.
All right. So speaking, we've twice now mentioned Kevin Spacey, so it's time to talk about Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey.
We got the trailer for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. That's better than Modern. It's way better than Modern. It's such a stupid name.
Next is going to be Future Warfare.
Yeah. And like Super Awesome Warfare.
Super Awesome Warfare.
Call of Duty 12, like totally badass, totes badass, bro.
Singularity Warfare.
Yep. So we saw this, and Kevin Spacey's all doing his evil motherfucker monologue.
Yep. He's good at that. He's got that down.
Are they trying to just directly cash in on the I keep wanting to say Game of Thrones,
House of
Cards character? Because he seems in there like he's doing one of the monologues from House of Cards.
Yeah, only not with the silly accent, the silly Southern accent.
Oh yeah. Is he Southern?
I don't know.
Is that his actual accent?
No, that's not his actual accent.
Okay, all right.
No,
all right.
Not at all.
Well, because I saw him, he was in Midnight in the Garden, Good and Evil, and it never bothered me.
Right.
There, but
I don't know. Sometimes, sometimes I watch House of Cards, and I'm like, okay, you sound ridiculous. But
some people really.
Then again, some people really do sound ridiculous.
Yeah, you're saying that's realistic. It's like some people in real life sound like complete assholes.
I know people from where I grew up, and I'm like, wow, you sound like a goddamn moron.
So when the shit does this thing take place? It's like 2057 or something like that.
I don't know. They're exosuits.
Yeah.
So, and he's wearing some sort of quasi-futurist 2054. Okay. That's a good, push it out far, but not too crazy far.
Right.
And his suit's a little strangely tailored, but not too alien.
Is it? I didn't really
a little bit.
Because I was completely distracted by it's like they took Kevin Spacey and then they applied the Adobe After Effects Uncanny Valley filter to him, and then they juiced that shit up all the way to like 25 because motherfucker, like his eyes aren't looking at anybody. He looks like a goddamn puppet, you know.
See, they got to be careful because this opening thing, this looks like Killzone or something.
Yeah, it's starting to get really close. Well, you know, in what was it?
It's like I don't need another sci-fi shooter.
Black Ops 2, I guess, was when they started doing a lot more of that.
Yeah,
that future tech stuff. But now it's like straight up, like the cyber mask closes over your face, like Dead Space style. And what I gotta say is, I feel like we should have some kind of video game law that says like you can't do near future unless you're actually dealing with the real dumb near future stuff that we're actually working on. Like as far as like that what do they call that big dog? I think they call it the big dog. Actually, that quadruped, the quadrupedal robot to carry stuff. They actually had one of those in I think it was original Ghosts,
maybe,
that you
I don't
could
know,
pilot and you could use it as cover and stuff like that.
That sounds familiar.
But here, they're just straight up. I mean, like this could be. You got dudes jumping with cyber legs and fucking, you know, Voltron suits and
I think why don't you go back to, I don't know, it's getting a little too, it's like we've seen this before, you know. I mean, I guess we've seen Modern Warfare 100 times before. I don't know, this just looks like any other sci-fi game. I mean, it looks good.
Yeah.
You know, it just doesn't look anything, like, it's not anything groundbreaking.
You know what I think? Which
I guess I shouldn't expect Call of Duty games to reinvent the wheel. So.
I think that for me, what happened was I was watching the trailer, and for the first time in my life, I had this horrifying thought, where I was like, I kind of just want to watch this put together as like a 2-hour action movie.
Yeah.
I don't really know if I want to play we're on a bridge and there's a bunch of drones and now we're infiltrating this secret lab and here's a mech suit for 2 minutes.
I'm down. I'll play it. I think it looks cool. Not terribly inventive, you know, nothing really new here, but I think it'll probably be fun.
I think I
bet it'll be a good game.
Sure. I'm sure it'll be competent. I mean, they don't put out Call of Duty games that aren't at least competent at this point, but I guess I still think that I would like to see more of the main character. I would like to, because one of the things that really endeared me to Modern Warfare was the characters, was Price and Soap and all those guys and Ghost and those people. And I think that I would much rather.
Haven't had that. We haven't had anything like that in a long time.
Yeah, I don't even remember the name of the dude there were the brothers in Ghosts.
Beats me. Yeah.
And then Black Ops 2, you were you were the kid, I guess.
I vaguely remember.
Oh, yeah. A lot of them haven't made as much of an impression as OG Call of Duty did. So, I don't know. Looks very competent. We'll see what it's like in November. And this is also, I believe... Of course. This is the first time. This is the Sledgehammer, the third studio now.
Oh.
So this will be the first time that they're doing it.
Okay.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be like the Black Horse, right? That comes out and they're like, they're the ones that are going to make it all awesome. Or
Dark Horse.
Dark Horse.
You don't have to be racist about
I'm sorry. I'm just intrinsically racist.
I know.
All right, next up.
So it says comes out in November. It's like, no shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What next? Are you going to tell me what Christmas is in December? No shit.
Hey, guess what, Jason? It's also going to be out on the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One.
Of course.
I didn't even look at that shit. I just pulled that off the top of my head. Boom. I'm making predictions. I'm like the Michael Pachter of Rage Select. All right, so next up, we have a really interesting story where there was a lawsuit filed in Washington.
Game changer.
Yeah, over a Kickstarter where the Kickstarter person didn't deliver the bonus items to their backers, and they it was for a playing cards. It's for playing cards, and they made $15,000 over their $10,000 thing, and they're being sued. And then there's been some quotes about from the Attorney General. Basically saying that it seems like we're finally getting to a point where lawmakers are trying to get in on or not get in on it, but there's finally some regulation to crowdfunding, or there's probably going to end up being some regulation to crowdfunding.
As well there should be.
That says that you can't promise people stuff and then not deliver it.
Yeah.
And I think that this has really, really interesting implications, not necessarily...
There are a lot of Kickstarters that are unfulfilled.
There are, but I think
not just the perks or whatever, but the end product, everything.
Right. Well, I don't necessarily think that the end product, like I don't think that you could hold them responsible for the end product. Like if people donate to a Kickstarter and that money goes in and you don't actually end up with a product at the end of it, I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that could make that happen.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, where like you didn't estimate correctly and you've gone over your budget. Because the thing is that what they're saying here is that they think that Kickstarter's itself would seem to agree. Its terms of service make a project creator legally obligated to fulfill rewards when their project right when their project is successful, or to offer refunds if they cannot deliver said rewards.
Okay.
So you get in this weird situation where, like, if you, like, I'm not necessarily thinking about physical rewards, right?
Yeah.
Like getting your Oculus Rift or getting a T-shirt or something like that, or you know, collector's edition CD or a signed whatever, like that stuff, whatever. But some of the times when they're offering Kickstarter stretch goal rewards, what they're offering is features in the game. And they're doing it at a very early stage of development, so you got to wonder, like, if you get into a feature creep scenario where you can't, where you got to cut that feature because we thought we could put it in, but it just turned out to be too much work.
Yeah.
And with the funds that we have, we cannot integrate it, even though that we've had that on our stretch goal. Are you then supposed to basically offer everybody on Kickstarter a refund?
Well, there are caveats for all of this. You know, it's like, you know, be careful what you offer, but also be careful what you donate money to.
Yeah.
You know, because there are a lot of Kickstarters out there where people just throw money at it having no fucking clue what it's going to be.
Sure.
And it's like, no, here, have money. I'm sure it's, wait. This isn't, oh, I just assumed, you know, and so people are pissed off and stuff like that. And that happens all the time. And there are Kickstarters out there where, you know, people just, okay, they just never fulfill it. Like I told you about this guy I know. He just got a measly $5,000 to publish a book. That was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is a book of a collection of short stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, goddamn, I could have knocked that out 3 times by now.
Yeah, we could probably do that this weekend if a collection of short stories, please.
They might not be good.
They might not be,
but
yeah. Can we do a Kickstarter for $5,000 and put out a book of short stories? Because we could go to the bar on Sunday and just turn on one of those tape recorders, and we could get all our friends together, go back and forth, and just be like, we call it the Nomad or whatever.
Right.
But anyway, I think it's interesting because I think that, in my opinion at least, I feel like Kickstarter has created an unrealistic narrative in people's heads for game development. That people's ideas of what you need to create a game or what certain features you should expect from a game for a certain amount of money has become wildly out of proportion with what it actually is. I mean, we tend to forget that even if you go through the development cost of creating a game, that you still then have the costs of cert, the costs of, you know, then you have stuff like creating a PR campaign to go through Greenlight so that you can get your shit on Steam Greenlight. I mean, I have a friend right now who made an indie game who is struggling to get his game on Steam Greenlight.
Wow.
Because the difference between having a website that just sells a video game, which nobody covers, right?
Right.
And being on Steam Greenlight, where you show up in the new releases, is massive. That's huge, right? You're going to get a certain number of people who buy that game, who they may leave you a bad review or whatever, but at least you're getting some money for what you've done. So I don't know. Part of me feels like you should maybe just say that instead of doing something like this, that Kickstarter should make it real apparent up front that this is fucking caveat emptor 100%.
Absolutely.
If you put money into a Kickstarter, you better motherfucking believe that there's a chance that you're just never going to see that money. You're never going to see any of the benefits of it.
Absolutely.
It's just going to go away, because otherwise you start getting into who's making the regulatory laws of Kickstarter. Like, this is a Washington lawsuit, but does it mean that the Kickstarter located in Arizona has different laws than Washington, has different laws than overseas, or whatever?
So I heard a Kickstarter success story just the other day. Randy Randy Lander, Rogues Gallery Comics and Games in Round Rock, Texas. He
do you get paid? Do you get does he give you $1 every time you say that?
I wish. No.
We'll start putting it in the
You know what
pot.
happens? I give him money all the goddamn time.
He doesn't even comp you a comic when you plug his fucking show.
I gave him money today. I give him money at least once a week.
Look, we don't have any sponsors for this podcast right now. If you want to say that, like at the mid-break, Randy, we will plug your store.
Randy just got a new Mustang.
Every show, and then you give Jason comic books for free.
That's not going to happen.
Jason a quarter of his comic books for free. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah. No, Randy contributed to the Kickstarter to help a business in Cedar Park, Noble Pig Sandwiches,
right,
relocate to Austin or move their location. So I think they're going to have another location in Cedar Park.
Yeah.
And then they've got a location down on Burnett.
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on down there?
The suction cups on my shaving mirror fell off, and my razor fell down. There's a bunch of stuff falling in the other room. It's fine.
I'm sorry, I just keep hearing this noise. I'm like, dude, this is a home invasion? What's happening?
Loretta's back there. She's very feisty. Just don't worry about it. Eyes front. Don't turn around.
Yeah,
don't
I don't want to see that. I'm like looking into the Ark of the Covenant. But anyway, they opened up this Noble Sandwiches. They changed the name. Noble Sandwiches over on Burnett.
Right.
And they had their Kickstarter rewards party. Just the other day, and Randy went and he was like, yeah, they gave me this giant bag of meat.
Okay.
Like all of this like really fancy stuff, like, you know, here's 2 pounds of foie gras and
Jesus.
You know, just like all of this like ridiculous like you know, rich white people meat.
Right.
Shit that I'm like, dude, I get buttig turkey, you know.
I'm an Oscar Mayer kid. That's my.
Yeah. But he went to this party, and then after that, they were just like, "What sandwich would you like?" He's like, "Oh, I'd like this sandwich." Okay, cool. Hey, we also made a batch of this sandwich. And then he was just like, dude, free fucking sandwiches just kept coming.
Damn.
Yeah. And these are good sandwiches, too.
I looked at their website because a friend of ours works there.
Yeah.
Hi. And they're not super cheap sandwiches either.
They are not. And the portions are almost embarrassingly small.
Gourmet sandwich shit.
They are. Yeah, it is gourmet sandwiches. And then you get like a handful of chips.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's delicious.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm into gluttony.
Right.
I like gluttony.
Sure.
And this does
large
not
portions
encourage that.
Yeah.
So yeah. But it is good. And they give you just enough where it's like, okay, I'll be hungry in an hour.
So
but whatever. Kickstarter success party. Limitless sandwiches.
And Kickstarter, I think that, I mean, we talked about this back when Double Fine first did their original thing, back when Kickstarter was first starting to be a thing.
Yeah.
That was kind of, you know, well, it wasn't exactly a year ago when we started up Rage Select, but around that same time we were talking about this. I think that crowdfunding is a wonderful model. I think it's a wonderful thing because it cuts the fucking evil asshole corporations out of the mix, right? You just get to do your own thing. We get to make whatever crazy-ass games we want to, and I think that's great. But I feel that we've come to this point where people feel too entitled to, like, it's just like I said, if you put money into a Kickstarter, you should be very, very well aware of the fact that you might have just thrown money away.
Yeah.
And you should not get pissed off if that happens, because this is speculative investment, and that's what the shit is, right? You know? So, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I hope that they don't legislate, or not legislate, but I hope that they don't start cracking Kickstarter to the point where it's less the Wild West, because any video game sector that is still kind of Wild Westy, I'm in it. I dig it. So
wait till Activision's like Kickstarter for the new Call of Duty.
Right. Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of evil corporations, Microsoft is apparently negotiating with Showtime to bring their Steven Spielberg Halo series to Showtime.
Yeah.
Which
Steven Spielberg produced.
Correct. This is not Tiny Toon Adventures. Well, wait, that was Steven Spielberg produced.
That was also Steven Spielberg produced. Yeah.
Okay.
He used to just put his name all over any goddamn thing.
Right.
So.
This to me, for those of you who forgot the conference where they said the word television like 600 times or whatever, they announced that Steven Spielberg was producing was going to be an episodic Halo television series that would be coming. It was exclusively to the Xbox One or just to the Xbox in general?
I don't recall.
I don't recall either, but seemed like a good idea. kind of was irksome in that they spent 10 minutes talking about it in like a 40-minute press conference where they didn't talk about games at all.
Yes. I concur.
But, okay, so stick with me on this one, Jason. It seems like the dumbest move in the universe to take your console-exclusive programming that you're spending all this money to get Steven Spielberg on and
put it on Showtime?
Put it on fucking cable, right? Like, extended cable, but...
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? I mean, if you were going to do that, why wouldn't you... I don't know.
So, the report states that Microsoft and Showtime are close to a deal with showrunners on an agreement that is said to involve episodes appearing on Showtime before they air on the Xbox platform.
The Xbox.
You know what? This... I don't know. This still could be kind of cool. So it's like, hey, you got Xbox Live?
Right.
Guess what? You get this kick-ass Showtime show for free.
Well, I guess for me, I see it from the other side of the spectrum, whereas if you air it a day earlier on Showtime, like, I don't know if you've ever not had HBO Go when Game of Thrones comes out, but about 30 seconds after it's off the air, there's about 600,000 people seeing the latest episode online.
Yes.
So if this Halo show is any good and you make people excited about it, they're not going to wait 24 hours for it to come on their Xbox One.
Yeah.
They're going to go over to the web and fucking download it. I mean, plus, I still don't know if we know. I don't know if you know. Is this going to be like a free with Xbox Gold thing, or are you going to buy a season of it? Is it going to be an on-demand, like an Amazon rent it for $3, buy it for $30 for the season? Because I'm sure that this being a Microsoft thing with Spielberg involved, they're going to want to charge you the equivalent of a season pass for it.
Probably.
Because they're going to want to sell it on Blu-ray when the season is over and all that shit. So, I don't know. This whole thing just seems really weird to me.
Yeah.
Between this and last week's, they're like, we're doing a documentary about unearthing those ET cartridges. And it's like, you guys, you don't seem to know how television works.
Read this last sentence.
This is okay.
Read it out loud.
Okay, yeah. This is a joystick, or seeing the story on Joystick came off Engadget. If you'd prefer that they work with a different Microsoft license, know that Gears of War, Fable, and Forza series are being considered for future projects.
They haven't even called us about the Forza series.
Oh, about Tom Forza.
They haven't called us. They clearly didn't listen to the lost audio of the Forza thing.
Do you know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen is that they're going to do that. We're going to see that shit. And then we're going to have to get some lawyers.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 10-year
lawyer
process.
up Microsoft.
And then someday we will get our fucking candy swipe payout. And we will take down the page on Rage Select that says, fuck Don Matrick. Even though he doesn't have anything to do with this. We'll just use him as we could get Don Matrick on our side.
Yes.
Then we could have Don Matrick on this podcast.
Yes.
Anyway, I don't understand. Maybe you guys in the comments can think of why they would do a thing like this. But to me, it just seems like splitting your brand. Like if you're going to do exclusive programming, do exclusive programming.
Yeah, right. That's how it was announced.
It'd be like if Amazon, well, I guess Amazon does have, or they're in talks to get the HBO programming. But it'd be like, what if Game of Thrones came on Netflix a day before it came on HBO? Right. Nobody would fucking buy HBO Go because who gives a fuck? It's on Netflix.
Right.
All right. Next up, I don't know if you remember about last year. There was a game that was kind of a DayZ ripoff called the Warzy that was put on Steam, and there was a lot of complaints, and then they pulled it down and gave people refunds. Well, for the second time, that shit has happened. There's this game called Earth Year 2066 that went up on Steam that has now been pulled down off of Steam. Now, ostensibly, the reason that they did this was that was not because it was a bad game and not because it was too early in the development program. Like they actually came out and said that. The reason that they seemed to do this was because I think that what they were indicating was the description of what the game actually was misleading. Really? That what they said, the features that were implemented, did not seem like they were fully implemented into the game. Also, there's some stuff in this report that I'm reading that said that that the developer went in and tried to delete people's bad reviews comments, forums.
Try to put your finger in the dike, little Dutch boy. That
well, then
good luck with that.
There was that other. I mean, in the Warzy, right? Then there was also that for his box art on Steam that he ripped off somebody's artwork and just repurposed it for his box art. So once again, this is a question. I feel like this kind of goes back to our caveat emptor of part of me says, shame on you, ruthless developer, for putting some shit on early access. But we made the early access bed when people bought early access games.
Yeah, exactly. This is the same thing as the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, the guy was a liar, but you are buying early access garbage.
Right.
Wait till it's done.
Right. Or not even that. I mean, don't even wait till it's done. Wait until it's had 3 or 4 updates and then go read the comments from the people who are going in and buying the game, the people who are really serious about early access who will play garbage, early on. See what they're saying. Wait for 3 or 4 updates. I've got games that we've looked at, Invisible Incorporated on Savage Tits and Dungeon of the Endless. Like both of those had like serious updates where I went back in and played it. I'm just like, this is a different game. Wasteland 2 had so many updates since we looked at it that it's not even the same thing as what we looked at.
Right.
So this is just another one of those things where I feel like when I was reading it, it seemed like the other story where, you got to exercise a little bit of caution and self-restraint in these cases. You can't just buy some alpha early access bullshit and then go, well, this is broken. Of course it's broken. It's an alpha. But Steam is offering people refunds for the game, which I can only imagine would be a nightmare scenario for an independent developer where you start getting some money for your game, right? And then
that money's probably gone.
Right. It's just hookers.
This guy, I imagine, this developer, Muxwell, is probably going to go into bankruptcy and have to live under a bridge.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's just a cautionary tale. You guys use a little bit of brain power when you're buying into early access. No, that came out wrong. I don't want to indicate that our listeners are dumb or anything, but just, be reasonable. Don't when you buy early access, don't expect a finished product.
Right.
At all. In fact, you could get a totally broken. In fact, I don't know. I might. Okay. No, okay. It's got to boot up. It's got to go into a game.
Yes.
Other than that, all bets are off. All right. Next up, we've had some weird news here, but time for some happy news. Jason, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready for happy news.
You talked about this with me last week, but I don't know if we talked about it on the show. Boom! No One Lives Forever has been retrademarked.
Oh, yes. No, we talked about this.
Did we?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe we weren't recording when we talked about it, but yes.
Yep. Night Dive Studios has filed applications for trademarks.
We did actually talk about it on like a dojo episode, but whatever.
Oh, whatever. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry. Well, then we'll keep it short. No One Lives Forever, A Spy in Harm's Way, NOLF 2, and Contract Jack.
Contract Jack was garbage dick.
But what I didn't realize is that the guys that did this, Night Dive, are the ones that brought System Shock 2 onto Steam and PC, which was a good port.
Yeah. That was the Lord's work right there.
Yeah. So if we've already talked about this, we won't linger on it too much except to say that if they can put... Okay, I want them to put widescreen support into No One Lives Forever 2.
Okay.
No One Lives Forever 2 is a long game.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if you remember that, but it's a great game.
Oh, yeah.
But it's
fantastic.
a long game. But if they can put me some widescreen support in there, because when you do it, it just stretches everything, right? They can get some 16:9 support in there. We might have to do a thing. I don't know.
Kate Archer.
Yep.
One of the hottest women in video games ever.
Also, incredibly overlooked when people start listing off ladies in video games, right? They're like Samus and Lara Croft, and it's like, Kate Archer, man. She's sassy, and she gets some shit done.
Yeah, and she's got that 60s style and the British accent.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. All right, so we won't spend too much time on there, except if you've never played No One Lives Forever, when this comes out, you need to buy it immediately. Next up, Activision spending
I saw this
$500 million on Destiny.
That's like more than I make in a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Peasant.
I know.
Need some of that Rage Select money is all I'm saying.
So, right.
No. This is one of those things where when we had our Patreon, we were like, if we were making $500,000 a year,
I know.
we'd have studio space and like 60 shows a week.
Yeah.
You know,
someone recently commented, they're like, "Oh, he's got that loading Barmageddon money." It's like, dude, that's long gone,
way gone.
Yeah,
super gone.
We exist solely on the month-to-month Patreon contributions that we are exceptionally thankful for, but. Destiny, 500 million.
Yes.
Sweet Christmas.
Yeah, and this is in this story they talked about how allegedly Grand Theft Auto 5 development budget was supposed to be somewhere around 260 million.
Right.
This bananas, man.
I know.
Like, I know it's Bungie and that they made Halo and that Halo's like the biggest thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
But
this doesn't have that cachet.
Well, I don't know, man. You got to sell like GTA 5 to recoup.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if they're saying, okay, let's see. The quote is Bobby Kotick said in a Reuters article they're making a, quote, $500 million bet, unquote, on Destiny. Now, I wonder if that is just development cost or if that takes into account marketing and promotion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine. I mean, I've seen Destiny. Destiny looks good, but like, I don't see where. I mean, we haven't seen enough of it yet. Maybe at E3 this year we'll see.
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be more.
The rest of it. But I mean, like, what was the development budget on Halo 4?
I don't know.
I mean, I could look it up and see if I can maybe find it. But, like, I can't imagine what this game has. I mean, I've looked at it. It looks like a really good-looking Borderlands with a little bit more robust online.
Yeah,
and Peter Dinklage. Like,
I don't see anything in it that excites me. I look at it and I'm like, okay, this could be cool. We'll see. But I don't feel the need to run out and buy it, you know?
Yet. We can never
of course, we haven't seen a lot from it.
Yeah, well, there was. I mean, last week there was a. I don't think I can actually find this. Anyway, there was a video that showed that we had on Rage Select that was around the internet that showed a little snippet of a mission, a little strike team mission where you go in and you go through these caves and shooting guys. But I mean, you know, like I'm not saying that it's exactly like Borderlands, but it looks a shit ton like Borderlands, right? I mean, you had a 3-person squad. The people, each guy had like a couple of different unique weapons that had like Diablo-style stats on them that you got that were modded out, and then each character had like a special ability with a cooldown timer, and then you went out, you know, they went through this little engagement, and they go out, and there's a larger engagement like we saw in the first video, right, where they go out and there's a big world event monster that everybody's fighting. But nothing so far. I mean, I get the impression that it's like, how much of that money is going towards voice acting? Because they've got Peter Dinklage, they've got... God, that one dude that did the one trailer for it was
I don't remember.
On Breaking Bad, Gus on Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
He was on one of those trailers. I mean, like, I wonder if their production, if a lot of that is not going into the direct gameplay and if it's going into like production value and stuff like that.
All of that shit that doesn't make any difference whatsoever.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'd be willing to bet that they probably, let's see, estimates for the development costs for Halo 3 average out about $60 million. That was including a massive marketing budget of $30 million. Halo, let's take a look at this article real fast.
Halo 4 was, at the time, it says, Microsoft's most expensive game.
Yeah. But still, I mean, you look at Halo 3, $30 million. Let's see what this says. Ended up in more like $170 million overall. Okay. It looks like there's probably not... I mean, I don't have time while I'm talking to drill into hard numbers here.
Right.
But still...
It sure as shit wasn't $500 million.
$500 million is bonkers.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but
that's just...
batshit bananas.
That seems foolish.
This better be the best game that I've played in like the last 5 years at this point.
I'm going to say right now that it will not be.
Okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure that just...
it might be good.
Just from Halo, just from the Halo type of sales, they'll probably be able to make their money back. Probably.
Right.
But like it looks like they're making that bet on that GTA billion-dollar first day.
Right.
And I think that I've seen enough horror stories between Square Enix and some other companies over the years that have banked on that shit, and then when it doesn't happen, like they get all fucked up.
Heads roll.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm interested to know in the comments, you guys, I'm interested to know, you listeners, whether you think that Destiny it looks so far like a game that needs $500 million to
It's only 4 months away.
Let's call it $200 million in development and $300 million in marketing and production.
I don't know,
something like that. Let's call it that. I'm making shit up. Well, speaking of bad ways to use your money, Nintendo.
Oh man,
this is kind of a crappy story.
wah wah.
Hold on for just a second.
Crappy story that everyone saw coming.
Yeah, Nintendo is not doing super hot right now.
I wonder why.
I think it's really interesting to see that total Wii U shipments in the year and a half that it's been out are now 6.17 million worldwide.
That's yeah.
I know it's not apples. I know it's not apples to apples, but Sony's done that in 5 months?
Yeah,
or whatever.
That is paltry.
Yes. So I got what fucking. Do something, Nintendo. I guess that's the thing.
That's what execs are running around do something.
Somebody do something. Who's got Zelda? Put it out. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Sir, it's not finished. I don't give a shit. I guess that's the thing that I don't understand is that it seemed like last year at E3 that there was no sense of urgency to getting stuff out, and they've been doing those Nintendo Direct conferences over the course of the year. If I were them, I'd be like, fuck it, we're going to put out Smash Brothers 4 months early, or here's a new Mario here, we're putting out all this stuff.
Yeah, it's all Mario and Zelda all the time.
Right.
We're going to have one every month.
Here's new Castlevania, here's new Metroid, here's new F-Zero, here's new Mario. I mean, Mario Kart 8 is coming out the end of this month, or
pretty soon.
But I don't get any sense from Nintendo that they understand that there's a problem here, because they seem to just be doing the same thing that they've been doing since the Wii U was announced.
Yeah.
Just calmly walking forward, oblivious of the nightmare scenario of a $229 million loss.
Oh.
I mean, Nintendo's got goddamn deep pockets, but I'm going to be real sad, Jason.
Yeah?
I know that when you talk...
When they don't make another generation?
What I'm going to be is, if there's a day... Yeah, no, that's what it is. I was going to say when they go out of business, but that's not going to happen. But if there comes a day where I have to come on this podcast and say that Nintendo has announced that they're not making any more consoles.
Yeah.
They're just going to be like Sega. They're going to be a software publisher and developer.
That's on the horizon, man.
I guess they'll probably keep making handhelds, right?
Yeah.
Because those do all right, but...
But you got to think it's okay. Well, they start licensing out Mario, and you'll see it on Xbox or PlayStation, or will you see someone out and out just scoop them up?
Yeah. Whew. I wonder. What do you think the chances are that they would come out with their Nintendo Direct at this E3 and say here's the new console? I mean,
that would be just hilarious.
I guess they could probably... I mean, if they took this one more year and they put out Mario Kart and they put out enough... They announce a Zelda game for Christmas or something like that, or a new Mario game for Christmas or something. Because, I mean, I really enjoyed the last Mario game on the Wii U.
Yeah.
I just don't have much to play on it. Is the only reason we don't do more of it on this show, is because there just really isn't all that much to play on it. So if they could just get me some motherfucking games... I mean, where the shit is Bayonetta 2? Where is it?
He started twitching there for a second.
For that matter, where's Smash Brothers? But yeah, I hope that they can pull out of this. I think that they could probably get through the rest of this year if they put out if they have at least one new IP announcement at E3 that is not Wii U Music, or Wii U Balance Board 2, or some garbage. Right? It's something big, something. Maybe, has there been an Animal Crossing on the Wii U yet? I don't believe there has.
Yeah, look, no, down there.
Is there?
It's at the bottom.
No, that's the 3DS New Leaf.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there's been one on the Wii U yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember. But if they could just put together, I tell you what would be really a big coup this year for Nintendo is if they walked out on stage and they've been saving the shit up, and they're like, guess what? Metroid and Castlevania. Christmas this year. Boom. They'd be like, "Wow, you did it! I thought you were fucking Nintendo, but you did it." Yeah, I don't know. This is a sad story. I don't want to report on it anymore.
Oh.
I'll tell you about sad stories, though. We talked about this before, Jason, but guess what?
What?
Shaq Fu got its funding. Shaq Fu 2.
Jesus.
A Legend Reborn concluded its Indiegogo
with people.
$473,884, slightly over its $150,000 goal. Yes, indeed. Shaq Fu will now be available on the PS4, Xbox One, PS3, Xbox 360, Wii U, and PC.
Great. That means I'm going to have to play the damn thing.
I'm sorry, what was the last time you played a game? Was it Titanfall?
Well, on the dojo.
Oh, yes. Well, you will have to play it on the dojo. This is correct. Yeah. So, Shaq is still a thing in the year 2014.
I don't understand.
Neither do I. But I tell you
the world just doesn't make sense anymore.
Guess what, Jason outside? You maniacs! You funded it!
You funded it!
On the beach with a giant Shaq
statue.
That's right. Well, I tell you what, in good news for indie game development, sequels, remakes of things that we've already seen, I tell you what they are doing. I don't know if you watched this.
Yeah.
They're putting together...
I did not know about this.
I'm going to skip over a little bit here in this video because Jason already knows what this looks like. Shadowgate is coming back in a brand new kind of enhanced version. This thing needs to move forward because it starts out by showing us all these old versions of Shadowgate.
Oh, man, I love Shadowgate.
But there is, we'll have to go back after this video is over, but there's a fundraiser to basically create this enhanced version of Shadowgate and put it back out again.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you guys have played Shadowgate on this show, but like when I was a kid, that shit scared the fucking jeepers off of me.
That was because it wasn't really like... I mean, you could find games like that on the PC, but you couldn't really find games like that on the console. And Shadowgate and what was it, The Uninvited?
Uninvited, I don't believe, was ever on the NES. It was Shadowgate and Deja Vu were the two.
No, I'm pretty sure Uninvited was on there as
well. Did they?
Pretty sure.
Well, I played that before then. But this is, you could see, when I first saw it, I was like, yeah. And then I watched the video and I was like, well, okay. It's not like fully redone. It's still kind of cheap cutout animation but it looks like it's got a fairly decent art style. I really hope that they somehow take into consideration the whole torch thing, because the torches in Shadowgate got to be a real bitch and a half. Personally, I've always still been more of a fan of Shadowgate. Was actually my least favorite of those games.
Yeah.
Deja Vu was my favorite because that was
the detective, right?
Yeah, hard-boiled crime. You wake up with a blow to the head and no memory.
I didn't play that one. I played The Uninvited.
Dude,
and Shadowgate.
You would need to play Deja Vu. And then, Uninvited. Uninvited scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah. Uninvited was weird.
It was very weird. Car breaks down in front of a house. You go in the house. Ghosts.
Yep. Yeah, typical setup there. But, yeah, they didn't really do that format of games on consoles until those came out.
Yeah.
And so I tried them, and I was just like, wow, this is really different. I haven't really played anything like this before.
I mean, it's kind of like when you think about it, the way that people always jump up and down and say the wonderful things about Myst is that those games were Myst way before Myst.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That was the bridge between your Zork text adventure and full-on Myst was these things where you had a lot of text and then you had some rudimentary graphics to click on the screen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you guys have never played those, I think they're really good games, personally. I don't know if they were all made by the same people.
I think they were.
You think so?
I'm pretty sure, or at least ported by the same people.
The only problem is Shadowgate had those goddamn torches.
I know.
Every time the torches in Shadowgate would burn out, and if you just dicked around for too long, torches go out, you're dead.
Yeah.
That's it. Start over.
Eaten by a Gru.
Yep. So that's all the news that we have for this week. I think we're going to go ahead and take a bit of a break, but when we come back, we've got plenty of your emails to answer, so stay tuned, everybody. And we are back. And Jason, I was going to ask you before we get into these questions, would you like to hear something terrible?
Yes, absolutely. I love terrible things.
So I don't know if any other people in this world have this, but when we got back out from our break, I've had this thing for a long time, right? I left a huge pause there for you to say like herpes or like prostitutes or whatever. Like, I can't believe
missed it.
But
I didn't take the shot.
All right, so sometimes I have my contacts in, and when I'm blinking my eyes, it feels like there's like shit like scraping against my eyes, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I get is on my eyelids, I get these little they're like a little blister boil almost. It's not like a pimple, but it's just like a little clear. It's like a little bubble that's filled with clear liquid.
Gross.
So in order to, when this happens, I basically have to get up in the mirror and like jerk my eye open with one hand and just take my fingernail and scrape it until it pops. And I started getting these, and I went to an optometrist. It was the worst optometrist I've ever been to. And I said, like, hey, I'm getting this shit. It's happening fairly frequently. How can I stop it, doctor? And his response to me was, well, this is a buildup of oil on your eyelids, and it turns into these little bubbles, right? So you can stop that by every day when you take a shower, close your eyes really hard, put a bunch of soap on your fingers, and just rub them as hard as you can into your super closed eyes. I was like, this seems like the opposite of a thing that an optometrist should be saying. Doctor, how do I fix this? Rub salt in your eyes every day.
Bleach also works.
Yeah.
Furniture polish.
Yeah. Spray yourself in the face with Lysol. Anyway, I thought I'd share. Let's get on to the questions. First one comes in from Mike, and Mike says, greetings, Rage Select crew. Have you ever had a bad first experience with a medium of entertainment, TV show, etc., that completely turned you off from that medium of entertainment, TV show, etc.? If so, did you ever try to pick it up again at a later time? Thanks for all that you do. Keep up the great work. Rage on, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that happens to me all the time.
There have been a lot of shows that I didn't like and then went back and ended up really liking.
Yeah.
The one that I can think of that's most prominent is if you had talked to me anytime within, say, about 6 months after the first episode of Archer, I would have said, I saw that Archer show. That shit was dumb as fuck. Screw that show. And then I went back and watched it. And I was just like, this is the greatest thing ever of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, mine that always jumps to mind are the Coen brothers movies and Wes Anderson movies. A lot of times I don't like them the first time I see them.
Yeah.
But now, like, Big Lebowski is one of my favorite comedies.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, give it another shot, and I end up really liking it. I've
often found that it happens to me more often in music, that I'll listen to an album, and I find that the albums that are just like total earworms that I love right away, no staying power whatsoever.
Yeah.
But if I listen to an album and I'm like, I don't know about this, and then come back like 6 months later and listen to it, I'm just like, this is fucking awesome. And then I love it for years.
I'm reading All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy right now.
Okay.
And
the Wild Bill documentary, or
it's Wild West thing. Oh. Yeah, it's about a kid who decides to just up and go to Mexico in the 50s on horseback and just relocate.
That doesn't sound like it has a good ending. It sounds like it probably has a pretty shitty ending.
I don't really remember the movie, but I was reading the book and I was like, it's whatever. It's like a romance or something. It's got pretty in the title, so that probably sucks. That's not a good sign.
Were you literally judging books by their covers at this point?
Absolutely, I was. Absolutely, I was.
Oh.
You could totally judge a book by its cover. You totally can.
They say you're not supposed to, Jason.
Fuck they.
Okay. All right.
They are a bunch of dildos.
I'm going to put that on a T-shirt. Just they're a bunch of dildos.
Yes.
People be like, what's your shirt about? You motherfucker.
But I'm reading the book now, and it's really good.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of specifically movies. That's why, every so often we'll talk about something like the Wolf, the French martial arts medieval.
Oh, Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Yeah.
That I watched and I didn't care for.
Yeah.
But I still, that's the thing about me
wrong.
Is that I don't, I'm more than willing to go back and watch something that I didn't like many years later, because sometimes this exact thing will happen. And
Man, I've tried getting through Super Troopers like 3 times.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Not happening for you.
I just can't do it.
I like Slam and Salmon is the best of those Broken Lizard guys movies.
I don't think I've seen a Broken Lizard movie all the way through.
Club Dread, I didn't really feel Club Dread, but Slam and Salmon, I really enjoyed that. I'm trying to think of other movies. I know there have been some.
What about games?
Games?
Yeah. We are a gaming podcast.
Games, I'm usually... There aren't a whole hell of a lot of games. Oh, okay, I tell you what. There are franchises that I don't really care for.
Yeah.
Like
but
until
that you came back to and liked?
Well, here's the thing. When Skyrim came out, I wasn't a big fan of the Elder Scrolls.
Okay.
And it was because I think that the beginning in Morrowind, you start off in the swamp, and I don't like swamp levels, and it's just kind of gross. And I had a run of bad problems with the Elder Scrolls series. I started Arena. I didn't have a key sheet because my friend gave me the discs for it.
Yep.
So I got out of the opening dungeon and then ran in real time to the nearest city.
And the early Elder Scrolls games are notoriously buggy.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not running everywhere, and I can't figure out what button is quick travel. My friends were like, there's totally quick travel. And I'm like, I didn't know it was there. Fuck that game. I didn't have to be fair at that point in my life. Then my second experience with it was Redguard, which was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Then Morrowind, which I haven't played enough of Morrowind to say I liked it or I didn't like it.
Morrowind was awesome.
And then in Elder Scrolls 4, I heard that they had, I played it when it came out. I didn't have an Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And I heard that it had this whole scaling difficulty thing, which I don't like in video games. So,
right.
Like Elder Scrolls, and up until Skyrim, I didn't even play it. I love Skyrim, but trying to think of other games that I may have played, not liked, and then come back to and liked. Because most of the time, I can kind of make a case for why I like just about every game that's out there. I know I'm real judgmental on our reviews, but I'm pretty easygoing when it comes to video games.
They're all beautiful in their own way.
They do. Every one of them has something weird and crazy. Even if it's the worst game of all time. That's why there's no sin greater than making a mediocre video game. Like, make some shit that's shit. I tried like a Battle Cruiser 3000 like 3 times and just never could. Never was able to crack the nut on that. I tried playing Animal Crossing once and didn't care for it. I've never been back to Animal Crossing. Maybe I should at some point. But I've heard some horror stories about that as well, like where the 3DS, like the time of day when things happen in Animal Crossing is linked to the actual time that it is outside.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, well, that means that I would need to set my alarm and wake up like 4 hours earlier.
There's something kind of cool about that.
Because I couldn't play Animal Crossing when I'm usually awake playing games at 4 o'clock in the morning because everything's going to be closed in Animal Crossing. I don't know. What about you? Do you think of any other games?
As far as games go, no. I'm trying to think of one, but I can't. Because usually if I play a game and I don't like it, it's like, fuck this, and then it's just gone.
Yeah.
It's erased from existence.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. More for music. It happens to be more for music than anything else. Movies too. Like, I think that when I first saw, I've said this before whenever Dark Knight comes up, is that the very first time that I saw Dark Knight in the theater and I walked out, didn't really care for it. But then I watched it a bunch more times and I was like, fucking love this movie. Not as much, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, all right, our next one comes in from Martin. Martin says, Dear Jeff Jonah Jameson and friends of David Cross's beard. Okay.
Yes.
Since Jason, I like the Jeff Jonah Jameson thing. I'm gonna go down to the mustache. Since Jason thought less of Suspiria, I have a follow-up question. Oh, it's this guy. I personally think that The Exorcist is overrated.
Fuck you and your horse and your floating horse.
I've watched it several times and acknowledge its atmosphere, but I laugh hard every time Reagan opens her mouth, and for some reason the devil's British. Call me a sick fuck, but a minor stabbing herself with a cross and saying outrageous shit is jolly good fun. Whenever that happens, the movie turns into a prequel to Evil Dead for me. Personally, I call Texas Chainsaw Massacre the blueprint of horror films and is way better. So the question is, do you feel the same about The Exorcist, and or which horror classic do you see as overrated? Keep it classy, or as we say in Denmark, snurdy-hurdy classy. I'm pretty sure that's not right, Martin, but P.S. props on shitting on Von Trier. As a Dane, I see him as a pretentious turd.
Okay, I don't think that Exorcist is necessarily overrated. I still think it is the scariest movie ever made, but I have seen many people laugh through it. I don't know if you need the right mindset or what, but there's a lot about The Exorcist that is interesting in that it has a lot of very slow points, and I think that makes the crazy, violent points in the film that much more effective.
Sure.
But yeah, I still think it's a very effective movie. So yeah, don't really know what you're talking about, especially not prequel to The Evil Dead. No, that's apples and oranges, man. But
I don't know, Jason.
Saying Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the blueprint of horror films.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a correct statement.
I think that if you took The Exorcist and you took that shitty 70s stock like laugh track and ooh and, and applause and stuff and put it over it, I bet you could probably make it into a fairly decent comedy.
I love The Exorcist. I think it is the scariest film ever made, and I think it's one of the best horror films ever made.
When did you see it? How old were you when you saw it?
I was, God, I don't even remember. I was I saw it in the theater.
Yeah. Oh shit! So you were very young.
I was very young.
Do you think that probably influences you a little bit as far as, because I didn't see Exorcist until I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a very, very good movie, but I'm not exactly like on the edge of my seat.
Probably. It's I mean that definitely when you see a movie and under what circumstances definitely shape your experience and everything. But but yeah, I still think Exorcist holds up. I think it's just an exceptional movie all around.
I was just thinking, when you talk about the slow pacing in The Exorcist, you see the same thing. As a while back, I watched Halloween again.
Right.
And the original Halloween has kind of a slow open, right?
The original Halloween is constantly building dread, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas Exorcist has more just kind of almost like breather moments. It's like, you've got the detective going to investigate the priest while he's jogging around the track. And then you have, some of the hospital stuff, which is kind of disturbing in its own way. But there are moments where it's just like they just kind of let off the gas a little bit. But with Halloween, it's just a constant slow build.
I think if you overdub some of the doctor dialogue for the hospital stuff, that Exorcist could be completely hilarious. It'd be like, well, she seems fucking crazy to me.
Yeah.
Jim, come in here. Let's put her in the shitty loud noise machine for 30 minutes and see if that'll just knock that piss right off of her or whatever.
Right.
I don't know what that medical equipment's supposed to be, but
it's an MRI, dude. Have you never heard an MRI?
No.
That was an MRI, and those things are nightmarish. Unless you get one of the really super fancy, expensive, open-sided ones.
I'm waiting for the Star Trek.
You don't ever go
tricorder.
to the doctor.
I don't go to the doctor,
like ever.
I don't really believe in preventative medicine because I'm a crazy person. But I do know that in like when you see in movies and stuff, MRIs and people getting put into that thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'd last about 20 seconds in there before I'm like, you need to get me the fuck out of here, or I'm going to get the fuck out of here, because having to be like this shoved into a coffin full of magnets, like, I like magnets and shit, but...
Yeah. So my ex had an MRI, and she forgot to take her cross off.
Oh, no!
That's bad. That thing instantly superheated,
right?
And burned into her skin.
Oh, no!
A cross.
Yeah.
Into like her back shoulder. And I always laughed. I'm like, what's funny is they hadn't even turned the MRI on yet.
Oh, man. See, if they had done that in The Exorcist, it would have been over, right? You just burn the cross right in her and fucking whatever.
Yeah.
What was the last, would you say, like, actually scary horror movie that you saw?
Oh, man.
Like, as an adult that scared you?
Well, I don't really get scared because I watch so many of them, you know?
Or disturbing?
I'm sure there has been one. I can't really think of it, though. I thought House the Devil, if you give yourself up to it in that slow build, there was just this tension that was masterfully built.
Yeah.
And the ending was kind of whatever. But as far as one that was like genuinely disturbing or something that I could acknowledge was scary without being scared.
Right.
I don't know. Let the Right One In, I thought, did a great job.
This has got a good atmosphere to it.
Yeah.
I think that, for me, we discussed this a little bit on Daylight, but for me, I much prefer, because it's harder to just scare me with gore because I've spent so much time, like you, watching horror movies.
Oh, I thought The Conjuring had a lot of creepy stuff in it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought, full disclosure, of course, friends with Cargill. I thought Sinister had a lot of creepy stuff in it.
We were talking about that yesterday, and I was like, I thought Sinister was a great movie and it had a lot of atmosphere, but I wasn't scared by it because the monster in Sinister only goes after people who have kids.
Right.
I have no kids.
Yeah.
So it's like, even if the Bagul is a real thing, I don't gotta fucking worry about it. Like, if it was a monster that only went after people who had dogs, I'd have to be worried about that.
Yeah.
You'd have to be triple worried about that, right?
Oh, man, I almost... somebody contacted me yesterday, and they were like, hey, I thought of you. A friend of mine is trying to get rid of this boxer puppy for free.
Oh.
And it looks like it's a puppy.
Yeah.
And he looks like a male version of Delilah.
Oh, wow.
All brindled.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I want him. So I was like, Allison was like, no, I want him to. But no.
Allison was like, no. That's the first time I've ever heard of your wife turning down animals.
I know. And she was like, listen, she's like, I want him to. He's adorable.
Yeah.
But we have already, as everyone knows, we have already spent more money than we have on the 3 dogs that we have right now.
Yeah.
And we already have trouble with the 2 males always fighting. We introduced a 3rd male into that mix.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's just going to be bedlam. But anyway, yeah, on to the next question.
Okay. All right. Next one comes in from, I'm going to say, Mark. Mark says, so last week you said it was better to send an email on Sunday, so I'll try to do that now. So for a few days, I have been playing the old game Rayman 2, a childhood game that I played back then, and man, this game is really great. Then I played some other game, and boy, did they suck as I play them as an older person. So my question is, what game or movie have you played/seen as a kid and returned to it to find it was very great/horrible, and what was your experience? Then he says, P.S., he wants us to explain the Last of Us playthrough that we keep talking about. That's for our patrons. Grant and I are playing all the way through The Last of Us, a secret playthrough for anybody who's a patron on the website. So if you want to get access to that video, Mark, then you just need to take a look at the Patreon video below and maybe dig into that a little bit.
Yeah.
As far as this phenomena, this is kind of related to the other question that we had, but this is different, I guess, about like going back with nostalgia, looking at something that you liked.
Something you liked, and you go back and find that it's great.
Or terrible.
Or or awful. That happens all the time.
Dude, when Fester's Quest came out, I loved Fester's Quest.
Too.
Fester's Quest is not a very fucking good game.
I haven't gone back. I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah.
I think I still have my copy of Fester's Quest.
Blaster Master as well.
Is Blaster Master bad?
It's
Blaster Master was the tits.
It's not as good as you remember it being.
Blaster Master was amazing.
It was so good.
God, it's one of the best games on the NES. Yeah, there are actually a lot of games like, man, go back and, God, anything on the Atari.
Yeah.
Anything. Absolutely anything.
Yep.
Except for, absolutely anything on almost anything.
Yar's Revenge.
Yar's Revenge is still a shitload of fun, man.
Warlords.
Warlords is good, especially if you have multiple people playing with the paddles. Pitfall's really not very good.
It's very basic.
Yeah.
It's one
Everybody
of those
says
things.
Pitfall's like the greatest one. No. Yar's Revenge is one that holds up.
Yar's Revenge is the shit.
Yeah.
It's the absolute shit. But there's plenty of stuff on the NES. Like I seem to remember. I guess it was the fact that like when a lot of times when you look at your old video game habits, right, and you're playing games, and you've just never played games before. Like the NES was I guess I had a Gemini, but I had like 4 games, and they were all shitty games. Mm-hmm. But when you got your NES for the first time, and suddenly there were games with graphics like you've never seen before, and sound like you've never heard before. And so some of that stuff, I mean, like I remember really liking Milon's Secret Castle. I don't think I would really enjoy going back and playing Milon's Secret Castle.
That game hates whoever is playing it.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck you, we're going to humiliate you.
Yeah.
And you're going to cry and take this game back.
And there's other stuff where you get, like, I remember that I used to be able to beat Contra without the Konami code.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that at this point.
I used to be able to beat Contra without dying.
Yeah.
And now, it's like, dude, I don't even know if I could beat it with the Konami code.
Oh, you could beat it with the Konami code.
You think?
You could beat it with the Konami code. You've got thumbs and reflexes.
and a functioning frontal lobe.
Yeah. You could beat it with the code. Trust me, it's fine.
No, I'm trying to think of some that, some others. I bet Golgo 13 is probably a terrible game. I played the hell out of that when I was a kid, and I was just blown away by it.
I'm trying to think of some early PC games that I liked that I probably would never want to go back and look at again.
Yeah, I don't go back and play games very often.
Yeah.
Well, I take that back. I go back and I buy, every now and then I'll buy like the arcade collections. And Shadows over Mystara, the D&D games, was not nearly as fun as I remembered it. But I'll go back. Like recently, I bought a package of Midway games on Xbox Live.
Okay,
and I was like, I'm going to play Robotron again. And now I'm just like fucking hooked on Robotron.
Dude, Robotron holds up.
Robotron is the shit.
Robotron
man.
2084 fucking holds up. I'll tell you that right now.
I think we're going to play that on the next one of the next episodes of the Academy. With Grant.
Yeah. You guys better. You know how to do the brain level. You know how to do the brain level?
Tell me how to do the brain level.
Okay. Don't tell Grant.
Okay, no, I'm not going to.
Okay.
It won't matter anyway if I tell him.
The brain level is full of the brains, right?
Right.
And the brains grab the mommies and they turn them into things. But on every brain level in 2084, there is one Timmy.
Yeah.
And all the rest are mommies.
Yeah.
If you can keep that one Timmy alive, they will go after the Timmy first and ignore the moms. So if you can keep that one alive and kill all the brains except for the last one, then you just mop up. You get like 6 extra lives on that one level.
Yeah, and
it's hard.
A key with with Robotron 2084 is on the brain level. You're gonna sacrifice a dude.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah,
but just go for the family. I mean, just like balls out because there's so many of them. You don't think?
But they're all moms.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Is that if you can keep your eye on the Timmy and keep him, because what'll happen is they got all the brains on there, and they'll all start walking towards the Timmy, ignoring the rest of the level.
Okay,
so if you can just concentrate on keeping them off of that one person. The only thing is that every so often you will tragically accidentally shoot the last brain and then leave the level without getting anything. But I think there are plenty of older. I mean, I think that a lot of what we consider the older classics, stuff like Super Mario Brothers, or you guys were playing Galaga.
Yeah, that's just distilled gameplay.
Joust, some of the early examples.
Yeah, those are all still so much fun.
Yeah,
because there's really nothing to them. They're just a really simple mechanic, just done really well.
On the other hand, I've gone back and I've played some older PC games, like stuff from like the mid '90s. That a lot of the times the problem comes in the fact that they were trying to use really primitive 3D models to tell these very dramatic stories.
Yeah.
And when you see the really primitive 3D models trying to make these really heavy speeches, you're just like,
yeah. And most of the cartoons that you loved as a kid are, if you go back and watch them now, it's like drinking a tall, warm glass of diarrhea.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Not all of them.
Not all of them.
But most of them.
Yeah.
Or at least, most of them in the 80s, but like I bet that holds. I bet that holds pretty well. But like if you grew up watching Batman the Animated Series, no, that's still damn good.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
But if you grew up watching Transformers or, God forbid, He-Man, I'm sorry, Tony.
Yeah.
That cartoon is fucking terrible.
I tried watching some Thundercats one time, and I was just like, oh, shoot me now.
Yeah.
Kill me now.
No, kill Snarf, dude.
Yeah.
What's the next question?
Oh, wait, there's one more I wanted to say before we move on. Yeah. Last weekend, they had a sale, and I played Singularity.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that game really holds up. I remembered it as being good, went back and played it. I think it still really holds up. Fuck, man, I'll load up BioShock and play that shit right now. Whatever.
Oh, not again. I got to take your copy of BioShock away.
What, you're going to take Steam away from me?
I might.
How?
I'll find a way.
Yeah.
I write code for a living.
Jason's installed a virus on my computer to get my password so that he can
so I can just go in there and delete BioShock every time you download it.
Yeah, that would work. All right, next comes in from Philip. Philip says, "Hey, Jeff and Jason, thanks for the response for my last question." This is the guy with his roommate.
Yeah.
My roommate hates sandbox games. He thinks the game with no objective or ending goal like Minecraft aren't really video games and are boring because if there is no goal or end point, then why should we play it? What would be your response to him? I think that you should get a new fucking roommate, Philip.
Yeah.
Your roommate sounds like a tool.
He sounds like an asshole, Philip. I think you need to walk in. I think you need to take. You need to find somebody who doesn't want to live anymore. Strap some dynamite to them, paint them green.
Okay.
Light the dynamite and send that into your friend's room, and just go creeper, and then the dude just fucking blows up and it kills your roommate. That's a very elaborate death, but it would be awesome. You got to film it though. Send it to us. We'll post it.
Yeah,
I'll post it somewhere, everywhere.
The question that I'm asking, man, I guess this is pure sandbox.
A game with no objective or ending goal.
Minecraft has an ending goal. Beat the Ender Dragon. Right?
It didn't have that for a long time.
Sure, it does now.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm playing Minecraft with no desire to finish it.
Right.
I just want to build stuff and have fun and not die and mine stuff and explore. And if Minecraft is so flexible.
Yeah.
It's like Alice and I have gotten back into playing it.
Yeah.
And for her, it's very relaxing. Mm-hmm. She gets animals. She builds pens.
Yeah.
She farms,
sure.
and yeah, she just has a good time. And that's her chill out thing before she goes to bed to help her, just kind of release all the stress from the day.
Right.
Me, I'm going down into the caverns and getting lost and falling into lava and getting, ore and stuff like that.
How much diamond have you lost?
How much diamond?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we just restarted a level, so I haven't gotten any diamond yet.
Okay.
I have lost a lot of iron, though.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's just driving me. It's like, what? There's one over there. I can go get it before I go back up. I get, and it's like I'm on this treacherous catwalk, and then,
yep,
that's it.
Yep,
that's it. But yeah, it's maybe it's not for him, but he can't categorically say that they're boring. I mean, the thing with games is that they can have any function, really. If like you want to murder stuff, great. You want to explore, awesome. You want to have cool
you
story.
Want to build. You want to build and
great.
create.
Yeah. You want to relax. There's something for that. Games are very diverse.
Yeah.
But when he says what's the point? It's like, okay, maybe there's no point for him.
Sure.
Fine.
Plus, it seems weird that he would use the term sandbox games because when you say that, I instantly think of like Saints Row and GTA.
Yeah, GTA, right.
And those do have a plot.
Yeah, right. If he just hates sandbox games categorically, is he thinking of like GTA and stuff like that?
Because I want you to, Philip. I want you to ask your roommate. Did he know how to play as a child? Did no one ever teach him how to play?
Right.
Like action figures don't have an end game.
Yeah.
Right?
He's in the actual sandbox.
Right.
On the playground. Like, well, how do I win?
Yeah.
You don't win? Fuck this.
Yeah.
It's pointless.
Oh man.
Get a new roommate, Philip.
We got a second. Yeah. The answer, Philip, is get a new roommate. Tell that motherfucker that he's being too judgmental.
Yeah.
And he needs to just chill the fuck out. Ooh, get him super high. Like bake some. No wait, don't do what I'm going to say right now. Under no circumstances should you
not do this.
Should you slip him some drugs and make him chill out, or maybe slip him an island drink and then get him to chill out.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what you should do? You know what I think Philip should do? This is what I think he should do. Anytime that him and his roommate are doing anything that does not have a discernible goal, he should start bitching about it. He should be like, I don't know why we're going out to eat. You're just going to have to eat again. It's not like you can win eating. This is stupid.
Yeah.
Why are we even drinking?
Exactly. Why are we watching this movie?
Right. It's just going to end, and then there's not even going to be another movie.
Yeah.
Jerks. All right. Next one comes in from our friend Leonardo, who's emailed us a few times before. He says, hello, Rage Select crew. My girlfriend and I are thinking about getting a dog. We live in a good-sized townhouse with a small but nice backyard. We're still debating about what to get. She wants something small while I want something big like a black Labrador Retriever, which I would love to name Aggro. I assume that's supposed to be A-G-G-R-O.
Right. That's what he means. Yeah.
Just to have an excuse to yell that all the time. What, Aggro? Aggro! Mm-hmm. I guess, okay, right. But there is one question no one has been able to answer about pets. How would they react to video games? I play my games in my other room on a good-sized flat screen with surround sound. I play a variety of games from Dark Souls to Mario, Spider-Man to Skyrim, South Park to Crysis, etc. I know you both are pet owners and would like to know what reservations should I take when playing games with my pet around. How do your pets react? My goal would be for my dog to be mellow while I game. I don't want it to attack the TV while I play Battlefield or become traumatized by the noise. Any advice is welcome. Thanks for answering my question. Keep up the good work. I always look forward every week to the Don Matrick Eulogy podcast.
It just got dark.
Yeah. Leonardo from Houston. So.
Yeah. What does your dog do?
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's like invisible to him. He doesn't it's like he doesn't watch the TV.
Yeah.
He doesn't react to the TV. He doesn't react to sounds out of the TV.
Right.
Including, I'll tell you, there's only been a couple of instances where he's ever reacted to anything even coming out of speakers from my entertainment center.
Yeah.
One was there's that one episode of Game of Thrones that ends where they're carrying the dragons. And there's like the dragons are bitching and they're just making like rah! Noises. Yeah. And I was watching on the couch and he just like kind of looked up at the screen like
what the hell's going on?
Who's making that noise? And then there was one time where there was a baby crying on TV where he was like, well, do I need to do something about that?
Most of the times my dogs don't really react. Especially to video games. Like, I remember one time, a long time ago, there were like, I was watching some nature special and about Wolverines, and there were these baby Wolverines playing.
Yeah.
And Delilah got right up next to the screen and wanted to play with the baby Wolverines. Yeah, which was adorable. But now, it's like I play games at the house. They don't care.
Yeah.
They do not care. The only time I have one of my dogs, Redfern,
right.
the big boxer, the only time he responds is he'll respond when there are dogs barking.
Yeah.
Like in Call of Duty Ghosts.
Sure.
Whenever there are dogs barking, he gets upset. Occasionally, when there are horses on screen, that pisses him off.
Is the noise or the actual? You can see the screen.
He can see the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. The dogs barking upset him. When he sees them, that upsets him.
Okay.
And he gets up there and he just kind of starts growling. And he's attacked the screen once or twice. But that's just one of my 3 dogs.
Yeah.
The other ones completely ignore it. And this usually happens more in movies than games. But anytime the doorbell rings in a movie.
Oh,
they run to the front door.
Oh,
yeah,
Pavlovian.
Yeah,
one might even say. I mean, I've got to the point now where,
but it's not a problem. Really,
it's generally. And I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get a black lab, I mean, they're usually fairly even tempered, smart enough to know the difference between stuff.
I don't think you're gonna have any issue at all, man.
I mean, I've been playing games. I've been playing like Call of Duty where it's like the world is exploding and everybody's screaming and there are dogs barking and there's blood and bullets and just and then I hear like my dog snoring behind me and I'm just like, yeah, you don't give a shit.
Yeah, there was that episode of Archer in season 4 where they get that giant like Saint Bernard.
Yep.
And he was barking and Redfern was pissed. He's like, "No, fuck you, fuck you."
Yeah, but in general, my dog has no reaction. But then Jeff is a very strict master with his dog. So, like, my dog, when the pizza guy comes and I open the door, my dog knows just, you're not going outside. Just stay the fuck away from the door. I don't even have to, like, hold him back or anything like that. So, but I would be willing to bet that if you get something like a black lab or even if you get a smaller dog that of his general intelligence and you train them, that you're probably not going to have any problem whatsoever.
Yeah, it all depends on the dog, man. Yeah. But I doubt you're going to have any problem
because Redfern he's a little high strung.
Oh yeah,
as it is.
Pizza guy. What you got in that box? Why are you moving towards Allison? I'm going to fucking kill you.
Right.
I'm going to kill you. Don't look at her. That's. But the other dogs are like, hey, do you want to pet me?
Yeah.
No. Okay, I'm going to go lay down.
And my dog, he's such a big slobbery fucking monster of he just wants attention.
Yeah.
He doesn't really give a shit. So yeah. All right, and moving right along, our next one comes in from Tony. Tony says, "Dear Jason and Jeff, as the resident geek at work, I'm regularly asked about new films and comic book news. Recently, I was asked about the casting of the new Fantastic Four, and I was greatly disappointed to hear overtly racist comments about why Michael B. Jordan shouldn't play Johnny Storm. I've always believed that you can change the ethnicity of an established character as long as it doesn't change the character's core backstory. For example, I'm disappointed with the whitewashing of Khan in Star Trek Into Darkness and Shredder in the upcoming TMNT movie. But I'd be perfectly fine with Idris Elba as James Bond because Bond would still be British.
Sure.
And I'm not talking about the theory that James Bond is a code name, just continue like nothing has changed and that Bond would has always been a black man. What iconic characters, if any, do you feel are so directly linked to their ethnicity that to change it would completely change the character? Thanks for reading it. On a side note, my company has a new employee named Loretta. And I can't help but laugh to myself whenever I hear her name called over the intercom.
You need to have a company offsite at the nearest bar, see what happens, but double bag it, Tony.
Seriously,
double
Tony.
bag that shit, dude.
Yeah, I remember watching some YouTube stuff when Dark Knight Rises was coming out, and they changed Bane from Latino in the comics to
doesn't matter
British dude in the thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I
doesn't matter.
I think it matters a little bit, but I think that it just
it matters to Bane's backstory a little bit.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. Yeah,
I think that you can switch that stuff around. I think that, in all honesty, for me at least, what this comes down to is the idea that I don't necessarily like it when you've got people who have a different ethnicity, sex, or race. I hate it when Hollywood turns everybody into generic white people.
Right.
That's what I don't like.
Yeah.
I want some character in my characters, and as far as I'm concerned, if you have characters of different ethnicities and sexes, you have more opportunity to tell more interesting stories than just like, it's a white guy.
Yeah. I see no problem with Michael B. Jordan playing Johnny Storm.
Right.
So what? Who cares?
Who did? But okay. So the only question is, who did they cast as Sue Storm? And did they address...
she's white. It's the girl from the first season of House of Cards, the reporter.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, her.
She's Sue Storm. So one of them's adopted.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Sure.
Make Peter Parker black or Asian or Mexican or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Right.
There are, iconic characters like, there's a petition going around right now that somebody posted on my Facebook page, and I may have talked about it already, but someone was saying, Iron Fist needs to be an Asian guy.
Right.
He needs to be Asian. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No. Iron Fist, because of the Netflix series that's coming up, Iron Fist needs to be anything but Asian. Actually, anything but Asian or black.
Right.
He can't be Asian because the whole thing is that he's a fish out of water in this Asian society when he goes to Kunlun. Mm-hmm. When he finds himself in Kunlun, in this mystical city in the mountains in China for 10 years.
Okay.
And he can't be black because I think there's got to be that diversity between him and Luke Cage.
Okay.
So you can't have like two black guys like that. It really mutes it, And you can't have Luke Cage be anything other than black.
Yeah.
Because he is so rooted in black guy who was wrongly accused, went to prison, grew up in the poor.
Do you think that you could cast another minority or another race? I mean, not necessarily. Like, I don't think that it would be a smart idea to change Luke Cage into a white guy.
I don't think so. I think if there's any superhero whose his ethnicity is so part of his character, it's Luke Cage. I mean, more than anyone else.
I remember reading,
except for Superman.
This, I guess, was a comment.
But I guess he could be black, but he's still Kryptonian no matter what color you make his skin. So.
Right. Reading a comment thread where they're talking about Spider-Man is intrinsically a white guy, and I was like, that's so not true.
Absolutely not.
He's got problems with his identity. He's struggling to get along. Spider-Man could be whoever. Spider-Man could be a woman. It doesn't even matter. Like,
make him some like Thai lady.
Yeah,
not a Thai lady boy, but a Thai lady, or a Thai lady boy, whatever.
Yeah,
fine.
Like, we're open to it. Whatever. I guess it doesn't really. I don't find any problem with changing a lot of stuff. There's maybe a few, like you said about Luke Cage, or your stuff you talk about Iron Fist, you probably wouldn't want to do. But in general,
and it's not just because I love those characters; it just doesn't make any sense. But Idris Elba's James Bond. Fuck yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I agree.
And the whole Khan, the Star Trek Into Darkness. What does that matter? You were disappointed. It doesn't matter, Tony. It really doesn't. I mean, Khan was an Indian character.
Yeah.
But he was played by a Mexican guy a couple of times.
Yep.
Who cares? Nobody cares.
Also, I mean, I'm going to say Shredder, if he's anything like the comics, he spent so much time behind the mask that...
well, the whole Shredder thing, that's a little silly.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be a samurai.
Well, this is also very
he's supposed
true.
to be a guy from Japan, so make him Japanese, not William Fichtner. That's fucking stupid.
I guess anytime, if you can imagine a scenario where they're doing casting and there's a person who is not a white guy who would totally work in that role, and then you could imagine a scenario in your head where some studio executive is like, people won't go for it if it's not just a white guy.
Yeah.
Then you probably change it. It's fine.
Right.
It's just people get all bent out of shape. I don't know. Nobody's asking me these questions.
Like every one of the X-Men?
Yeah.
Ethnicity bend them all to hell.
Sure.
Make Wolverine a Polynesian dude. Whatever. Make Colossus needs to be Russian, I think.
Really?
Actually, you know what? Okay, I take that back.
Yeah.
I take that back.
You take
my whole statement?
Jason he was running too fast.
I was. Now, and I start thinking about it, I'm like, no, Banshee's got to be Irish.
Right.
Wait, Storm's got to be African.
Right.
Storm's got to be African.
Right.
Cyclops doesn't matter. Beast, Angel doesn't matter. But
so
like the
original X-Men.
Yeah, but the next wave, like Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler doesn't necessarily have to be German.
Right.
But yeah.
But Sunfire probably wouldn't work as a white guy.
Sunfire's got to be Japanese. So okay, let me backtrack on that. But the original X-Men, all of them. Whatever. They can be whatever ethnicity you want.
I would almost disagree with you in a certain way of saying.
Well, you're racist.
Well, I am racist, but I would almost disagree with you in saying that it all to me comes down to the writing. Is that you can make a story about Colossus doesn't necessarily have to be Russian.
Yeah, he should be Russian.
I think that as long as your writing is solid, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you can write these stories. That for me, the core part of the reason that these stories endure and the reason that people want to see them is because of the base level of the stories, not because of the character. Because when you make it all about the character, then you get into fucking 6 Wolverine movies. When I think the Wolverine is kind of a boring character, right?
Well, you're wrong, but he is overdone.
Well, maybe I've just seen him too much over the years.
Well, that's true.
Anyway,
that's what it is.
We got 2 more questions here before we're done. This next one comes in from Joe, and Joe says, "Hey there, heralds of the mighty Dongacles." I like to think of Silver Surfer. You can be the Black Racer, though.
Okay.
Cool. I'm incredibly frustrated with game rentals. I've been using GameFly for a few months now, and I found it to be incredibly slow and unreliable service, with the only shipping center close to me being in Pittsburgh and me living in Michigan, and them often sending the wrong game or a game low on my list. There are almost no local stores that offer game rentals, and the one that does, which is 20 minutes from my apartment, requires a $20 deposit. Lastly, there's Redbox, which has a very small selection of games and none for next gen. That's actually not true, Joe. As someone who believes in try it before you buy it, it's irritating that renting games has become such a headache. What should be done to improve this? Are there any alternatives you can recommend? Keep on raging, Joe. First off, Joe, real fast, I don't know if you know this, but if you go do a search for Redbox PS4, there's a separate sub-page that you can look for PS4 games on Redbox. And then there's also a separate sub-page that says that some Redboxes have Xbox One games, but they don't have them listed online yet. So you can totally find that stuff. You just have to know where to look for it.
Yeah.
I have given up on GameFly as well.
Yeah, I used GameFly for a few months, and I was just like, this is horrible. Mm-hmm. It was terrible. It was doing well for a while, but then their turnaround time became really unreliable.
Yeah. I think that the answer to your question, of course, is there is no incentive for a retailer to let you try a game before you buy it. There was an Extra Credits episode that talked about this, and I've talked about it on this show before. A demo or a timed demo of a full game, or like you used to on PlayStation Plus.
Right.
Never, or like the statistics that when you look at it, it almost never helps sales.
Really?
Because the thing is that you've got a few different scenarios of when you have a demo, right? You were not planning to buy the game, you played the demo, you are now planning to buy the game. You're planning to buy the game, you play the demo, you're not going to buy the game now. I'm sorry, I can't go through this whole thing right now because of sleep deprivation, but but basically what it comes down to is the fact that it's less, like let's say that you were making a game, right? And let's say you were making Amazing Spider-Man 2 that just came out.
Yeah.
Would you put out a demo for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Oh, wait. No.
Why? Yeah, because all you would do is potentially drive people away.
Right.
Now, let's say that you're making the next Call of Duty game. Would you put out a demo for that?
No, it's got guaranteed sales.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's say GTA 5. Would you put out a demo for that?
No.
You don't need to, right? Because people are just going to buy it regardless. The middleware section where you normally would see demos to try to get people excited about games, that's where we've talked about the death of middleware for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there literally is no reason for them to create any kind of way for you to play it before you buy it. And then as far as his wanting to be able to rent games, I understand that.
Yeah.
I like renting games, but it's
unfortunately the best solution for you, Joe, is not a good solution. I mean, you can try Redbox, but if that's not panning out for you, I know it's specious as to what you can find and everything, but if that's not panning out for you, you might just have to wait and buy games used when they get really cheap. Get them off of Amazon or eBay, and just wait a little while. I did that for a while, where I was buying games long after they'd been released, and you can get them really cheaply.
That is extremely profitable. Or like what it comes down to these days is that is a solution for you.
And that works for all but the really top-tier games.
Even top-tier stuff, a lot of times.
Some of, like Skyrim, that's still like $30, you know?
Yeah,
but like most games that have been out as long as Skyrim, you can get those for 10, 15, 20 bucks.
You just, the main thing is that you got to keep an eye on it on Amazon, right? is that they'll have a weekend flash sale where Skyrim's on
Yeah.
sale for $12. Or if you have a PC that can play games, just Steam.
Jump on Steam.
Steam, man.
Yeah.
Activision sale last week, and
Yeah.
almost everything was on sale.
But rentals are very much on the decline, especially with the decline of brick and mortar
right.
movie rental places.
There's not a lot of incentive for game publishers to be accommodating to you to rent their stuff because you're just going to rent it, beat it, and then
take it back and you're done.
Take it back and you're done.
Yeah.
They don't get any money for that. They don't get a chunk of the rental profits. So I don't know. So it's really just not in their best interest to do it. And with the decline of Blockbuster and things like that, I mean, I'd say go to Redbox and look at that PS4 page if you have a PS4. If you have a PC, Steam, cheap ass games, and if you ever want to buy good old games. If you want to buy something on Steam and it's on sale, go look at Amazon. As a lot of times, Amazon will shave another couple bucks off to try to undercut Steam.
Yeah,
all that stuff is out there. So if you don't have the money to be able to be buying all these games and you really want to do it, it'd probably be very difficult. But just spend 4 or 5 months playing old games, and then once that 4 or 5 months is up, start buying the stuff that was brand new 5 months ago.
Yeah.
You're probably going to get...
It's not the best solution, but it'll save you some cash. If
you can get through that initial 4 to 5 months, I think it's great because you've got extended coverage of whether the game is good or not.
Yeah.
You've got... a lot of times if you have games that have bugs that have been patched by that point, you've got add-ons. A lot of times you'll have... you can get it on sale with DLC. Pre-order DLC is on sale. You know, like... all that stuff is great as long as you can wait, but I understand just how hard it is when you're swept up in the hype to try to do that. So, one last email. No. Okay. 2 more emails.
2 more emails.
Okay. This will come in from Michael. Michael says, "Praise Dongacles, fellow ragers. This is Michael, known as Naked American Man on the site, with another meaty question for Panda Tits and whoever else is on this week to sink their mighty jowls into." Are you jowls?
I'm jowls.
You're jowls?
Yeah.
Panda Tits and the jowls? That's not a good cop
Yes.
show. Has there ever been a piece of media, be it movie, game, comic book, TV show, whatever, that most people will say is just fluff entertainment or eye candy or some such term that you feel achieves something greater, dare I say, art? The best example I can think of is The Raid. Everyone seems to agree it's a kick-ass action film that makes your balls feel like they're pulsating with new hair. But if you ask me, The Raid is a film which very much puts the art in martial art. There is a beauty to the brutality these men inflict upon one another, and a visual poetry to the intricacy and timing of their movements. Not to mention the film is exquisitely shot and edited to maximize the visceral nature of what's happening on the screen. Frankly, it's easily as well crafted visually as something like Winter's Bone. The only difference is that when Deborah Granick wants to give the viewer a sense of isolation and desperation, Gareth Evans wants to give the viewer a shot of adrenaline directly to the face, thereby melting said face. I look forward to hearing your answers. Keep on raging, and may our penile Lord bless you with abs to rival Darth situation. Michael.
I like it.
Okay. You got anything for this, Jason? Anything?
I'm trying to think of something specifically, but I think that that comic books as a whole are just treated as fluff entertainment. And a lot of times they are, but not always. I mean, there's some really important things, and I said, and I think they rival anything that you can find in movies or video games or novels and stuff like that. And I think video games are marginalized a lot like that as well. People just think, oh, video games, psh, whatever. It's all Call of Duty multiplayer or whatever. And it's certainly not. But as far as like specifics, I'm having some trouble coming up with something specific.
So I think that, and I talked about this in the last. God, it seems like every time we get one of these, we get it into trends, right? We're giving the same answer over and over again. But last week, or I don't know if we actually talked about it, but I was talking with, I think I talked with Grant about it. The Matrix, I think, it got a lot of attention at the time for the visual, for the bullet time and the visual tricks that they were doing with some of the CG rendering and the fight scenes and stuff like that. But I think that there's actually some stuff going on in the Matrix that's story-wise that's very interesting to look at. Now, of course, the 2 movies that came after that kind of did everything they could to fuck all that up. But as a movie, I think that it a lot of times doesn't get as much credit, especially because of the sequels, as when it first came out. There was some interesting stuff going on in there. As far as games go, I don't know that many people, Jason, who have played Papers, Please, but I think Papers, Please is brilliant.
Yeah,
in the way that it puts together.
It absolutely is
this thing. It's one of those primary examples that I can point to when you talk about games as a tool for human empathy or as art or things like that. But the thing is that Papers, Please is still a functional video game, right? It's a game with an objective.
It very much is, yeah.
But it also goes
and the
further.
Challenging one at that.
Yeah, I would ask you maybe like what are some comics? Do you know of any specific comics that you feel?
A lot of it's been around for a long time, but a lot of X-Men.
Yeah,
I know I've already mentioned that on this podcast, but X-Men really has a lot to say about homophobia and racism and xenophobia and stuff like that, and also Transmetropolitan.
Yeah,
where it just seems like some jackass lunatic running around in the future.
Yeah,
but it's an important series. I think it says a lot about politics and transhumanism and things like that. So, yeah, I think there's some out there that if you look just below the surface, there's really a message going on there. Even some of the early Spider-Man stuff, just talked about the alienated outsider kid who really kind of grew into his own. So yeah, not all of them are just people in spandex punching each other. There's allegory going on there.
I like to trot out what's so funny about Truth, Justice, and the American Way over and over again, because that's one of mine about like why do I like superheroes. It's a very short, simple, boom, good to go.
Absolutely.
All right, we're running a little long, so go just one more question here. Dear Jeff and Jason, I am a fan from back in the old days and was wondering what your favorite alcoholic beverage and or cocktail is. Thank you for the entertainment you provide and best wishes. P.S. You two provided me with entertainment when my OCD was at its worst, and I thank you again for that.
Hey, well, good luck with your OCD, man.
Mitchell.
Yeah. I know that can be a terrifying thing that can destroy your life. So best of luck. Glad we can help. Scotch.
Just any old scotch will do.
Not any old scotch, but like right now I'm just drinking straight whiskey. It's not even scotch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like if we're gonna get like specific.
Sure.
Yamazaki 18-year whiskey, which is it's scotch, but it's not really scotch because they brew it in Japan or they distill it in Japan. They can't really call it scotch because it's not distilled in Scotland.
Yeah.
But yeah, Yamazaki 18-year. Oh shit, son, it is so smooth.
I'm a beer kind of guy myself.
Yep.
There was a long time though where I used to drink vodka tonics just nonstop.
Oh yeah,
and it's because once you've had 2 vodka tonics, you're drinking ice water, not vodka tonics.
Yes.
And it is easy to slug down 8 or 9 vodka tonics in a night.
And now our special beer correspondent will provide his answer.
Grant,
his favorite alcoholic beverage. Grant, take it away.
Zombie Dust from Three Floyds.
All right.
What is that?
It's a pale ale, and I think it's really fucking good.
Okay, Zombie Dust from Three Floyds. There you go. Check it out.
All right.
Never heard of it.
Yep. I'll have to try it next time we're at the bar. Anyway, that's all the time we have for this week. If you have questions, you could send them in to mail@rageselect.com. Is mail@rageselect.com. There should be a link down below. And join us back here in 1 week where we will have another episode of the Don Matrick Taco Bell Memorial Podcast here on Rage Select.